Hi guys, I'm so excited that you decided to join me. My name is Mpoomy Ledwaba, the founder of this YouTube channel and Wisdom and Wellness. Welcome to our first women's virtual conference. So I'm just going to give you a brief idea on what Wisdom and Wellness is. So Wisdom and Wellness is an initiative that I started last year, and it was based on the scripture 3 John 1 verse 2 that says, "Beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health just as your soul prospers." And this was in a time where I was going through a lot, post-depression, feeling unhealthy, just feeling unworthy. And I just started reading up on scripture on the kind of life that God wants for me. And in study, 3 John 1 verse 2 just spoke to me that God wants me to prosper in all things. My business, my family life, my friendship circles, God wants for me to be in good health, which means scripture talks to us about taking care of our bodies. And that's when I started exercising and eating clean and investing in books that talk about our wellness and books that give us recipes of good food. And also, just as your soul prospers, I think the most important thing is that our souls need to be in a good place. Our souls need to prosper. And that's how Wisdom and Wellness came about. Last year, we had our first event, which was a book club. I met up with about 20 ladies, all strangers, but we all kind of became little social media friends, and we dissected the book The 5 a.m. Club. We had a lovely afternoon in a garden lunch, and it was so much fun. And this year I had hoped to do something similar, having women all around us enjoying a great conversation, and COVID happened. But that didn't stop us, and that's why I've put together this amazing virtual women's conference, and I'm so excited that I can actually do something for free where everyone is welcome. So I hope you'll enjoy it. I've got amazing speakers which were carefully selected based on their journeys and their stories. I have Mapalo, who's a financial expert and an author of a book that's doing extremely well. She will be talking to us about finances. Then we've got the Lazy Makoti. Her name is Murao, but she's known as the Lazy Makoti, who is a chef and also an author. And she will be talking to us about how she transitioned from corporate and now she's got her own business that is thriving. And then we will be talking to Shakaina. She's a well-known musician who has done well, award-winning, and she's just one of those people who's just so inspiring to so many people. So I'm excited for this weekend. I hope you'll be joining me on Friday, 6 p.m. Join us, get your friends. Saturday, 11 a.m. and on Sunday, 11 a.m. I'm so excited. I hope you will tweet us. You will post on Instagram. The hashtag is Wisdom and Wellness. The other hashtag, Wisdom and Wellness 2020. And yeah, I hope you guys will have a good time. Chat to us in the comment sections. Let's just have an amazing weekend. Let's pretend it's alive. It would be nice to be together as women and sharing great conversations and learning, but we can do it from our couches. Get yourself some tea, a cup of coffee, and let's enjoy. And thank you so much for joining me. I hope you will learn a lot. All this wisdom, we will be making use of it, that we will make sure that we do everything that's necessary to live this life that God wants for us, and that is to prosper in all things and be in good health just as our soul prospers. I'm looking forward to spending the weekend with you and interacting on the socials. I love you lots, and let's enjoy.
Hi everyone, Kinna Mapalo. I am so excited to be here and part of the Wisdom and Wellness Conference this year. What do? I am a personal finance expert. I am an author of a book, You're Not Broke, You're Pre-Rich. And I love talking personal finance, specifically to women. There's a reason why that is. A couple of years ago, I used to work in corporate, in the financial services industry, and every time we would do our road shows, women would come to me after having done the presentation to say, okay, what do you think about this? I heard you mentioning this or that. How does that apply to me? So for me, it made me realize that women want to be spoken to in maybe a different way. And for me, that's why I started Woman and Finance a couple of years ago, 3-4 years ago already. And I literally just educate women about personal finance, how to take charge of their finances, and also how to become confident when it comes to their money.
Hi guys, welcome to day 1 of the Wisdom and Wellness Virtual Women's Conference. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're going to be here the entire weekend. And today, because it's Friday, we're going to be going on the whole weekend, but because it's Friday, I said, you know what, let's start with the conversation everybody's scared of, and that is finances. And they shouldn't be scared of it because it's part of our lives. We just have to tackle it in a better way. And with me, I have financial expert and author with a book that's gone for second reprinting, Mapalo. Did I say your name right?
You said spot on.
I thought your name, isn't your name supposed to be double M for it to be Mapalo?
No, it's Sesotho, so it's not, it's Southern Sotho, so
Okay.
it's just one M.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've had that a couple of times.
Okay, but I said it right.
You said it right.
Perfect. So, where do we even start? We've had such a long conversation already. How did you're no longer in corporate, you've got your own company, Women in Finance, that does a whole lot of things. How did it start? How did Women in Finance start?
Okay, it's going to be a very long story, but I'm going to try to cut it short.
Cut it for
okay?
me. Yeah.
So I knew what I wanted to do at the age of 17, right? At the age of 17, I took a gap year. It was an involuntary gap year. My parents couldn't afford to take me to school because I already had 2 siblings who were in varsity already. And they were like, okay, you're going to have to take a gap year, right? And I am so happy that I took that gap year.
Sure.
I am so blessed that I took that gap year because it was then that I started reading about personal finance. I started reading about business. I started reading about things I had never, ever, ever read on, right? So I'm an avid reader. I've always loved books, but it was nothing ever around personal finance or economics or anything like that. And in that year, at the age of 17, I picked up some books on personal finance, and I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. Yeah. So that's where it started.
Sure. And then the business woman, actually, I love that you touched on taking a gap year because we've made it such an ugly thing, especially in the Black community. It's as if how uyofunda, uyadlala, you know. But I actually advise it because I feel like had I taken a gap year, my career, maybe things would have been simpler for me because I found myself in the wrong. I don't like to use the word wrong, but I had to take some detours because I didn't take time to get to know myself. So I know you got into corporate. We won't talk too much about your corporate space, but how did you start Women and Finance, the business? What was the direction? What was the angle?
There was no direction, okay? I just felt like, you know what? So what I used to do in corporate is advise people on their pension and provident funds, and we used to go on these roadshows to tell our clients about what the pension fund is doing, what to expect, that sort of thing. And every single time, I promise you, Mpoomy, when I say every single time, I mean every single time, would be in this hall or a conference room where we're explaining all of these things, and women would just keep quiet.
Sure.
Right? They wouldn't ask the questions. Men would casually ask a question or comment or give their own expertise.
Yeah, because men are confident like that.
Exactly. And as soon as I stepped out, women would come to me and say, hi, you spoke about this. What does this mean for me? Or they would show me their statement. What do you think about this? So for me, it really did tell me, like I said in my intro, that I think women wanted someone to talk about personal finance in a different way, in a way that really does.
Way.
Yes. And that's when I started blogging. Literally, this whole journey started with me blogging.
So Women in Finance was a blog?
Yes.
Not a business?
No, it was a blog.
Wow.
It was just a blog, which I still have today, womeninfinance.co.za. And I started writing about saving, budgeting, tackling the simpler things and building on. Exactly. That's how it started. And I remember while I was still working in corporate, I went to the marketing guy and I was like, I want to start this blog. And he said to me, I actually know a lady who does something similar, right? And this was Maya Fisher-French. For most of you maybe who don't know who Maya Fisher-French is, she is the real OG of personal finance. She truly is someone who's so passionate about this and has been doing this thing for a long time.
So we should check her out.
Check her out, right?
Okay, cool.
But the moral of the story is, right then and there, this was 2013 when I was working in that company, I said, one day I'll work with this woman. right? And today, literally, even on my way here, she sent me a message like, "Hey, when are we
Girl,
gonna, you
write
know,
the vision down.
the
Yeah.
vision down,
Yeah.
put your the things that you want out there, you know,
yeah.
it's possible, you know,
Sure.
if you have that thing in your mind, write it down, believe it, and go after it.
Take the steps.
And take the steps.
Have
absolutely.
you ever made any financial mistakes? And if so,
Yeah.
what were your 3 biggest financial mistakes? It can be from when you were, I don't know, let's start it from your 18s, from varsity
Yeah.
up until now.
Yeah.
Any big not big, small financial mistakes.
Okay. So, you know what? I've always said I've been lucky in that I don't have big financial mistakes or my financial mistakes that completely have derailed my financial journey or that have really just made me think, woo, wow, like, yo, you know, I haven't had those. But I remember when I was still working, I used to save, but I don't think it was a lot, you know, because I just thought, you know what?
But wait, did your saving have a goal, or you were just like, let's save because it's time to save?
There we go.
Problem number one.
Problem
Okay.
number one,
Yeah.
right? I was like, you know what? You just need to save. And I kept on saving and saving and saving. And come December, I spent it all, you know? So definitely that's mistake number one. And number two, I used to get quite a bit of some lump sums for some of the work that I would do for people in the company. And I would blow it.
On what? You don't even remember now.
You can't even remember.
Yeah,
You never remember
yeah,
those things,
yeah.
right? You never remember those things. So for me, I've been lucky in that my mistakes were not massive. And I remember when I got married, we had enough savings, my husband and I, because those lump sums would save them. So they did come in handy, but there was never really a goal.
A solid.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned marriage, I'm so glad because my husband and I do a lot of marriage content, and we
Yes.
always have the finance question, but we don't want to answer it because we're not experts and we're still trying to find our way around the finance talk. How do you guys as a couple, especially because I'm sure you're so rigid in the financial parts of your marriage, how do you guys navigate finances in marriage? Make sure that you've got the same goals, etc., like planning and saving for your marriage, planning and saving for your house. How do you guys navigate that?
You know what, Mpoomy? So, like, and I always say this, and I say, look at your finances as a goal together, right? Oftentimes what people do, they get into marriage and they hope for the best. They hope that our love will just ride us through.
Carry us
You
through.
know,
Yay.
our love will
Abas.
carry us through. Actually, it cannot be like that, right? And I always start with self, right? Especially as a woman. Start with yourself and say, okay, what is my relationship with money? If you have a complicated relationship with money already, you best believe that you are going to have a complicated relationship with money, with your husband. So the first point is always to start talking about money even before you get married.
While you're dating.
While you're dating.
Yeah.
It might be difficult, but I mean, when you know that someone is serious and both of you are serious, then you can start having those serious conversations.
What are good conversations to ask when you're dating, engaged, or for those who are already married, who are starting? What are those good conversation starters?
So first of all, what do you believe about money? You know, what do you believe about money? What was it like growing up? You know, the topic of money, was it discussed? How did you feel about it? Because if you do that, then you're able to navigate each other from your own background. So now you're not judging each other because, I mean, it's learned behavior,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
It's been learned over years and years, and you can't expect someone who's an
change
adult
overnight
to change
'cause there's a
overnight.
ring,
No.
yeah.
No, it does not happen, okay? So you need to start having those conversations and asking each other, okay, but what are your beliefs? Then sort of draw a line from the past and the future, right? So now that's what you've always believed in. That's where you come from. That's what your parents believed about money. That's what you've always believed in. But we are together, right? What can we believe?
What's our
What is possible for us? What is our goal going forward? We are in year 10 of our marriage. We are in year 1 of our marriage. We are in year a couple of months of our marriage. What will our finances look like in 5 years' time as a family?
How do we get there?
And how do we get there? Then you start crafting, putting it down to paper, not in your head, down on paper. And, we went as far as putting our goals on the wardrobe. We would wake up and, we'd have our
actually did
network.
that. We have I was actually embarrassed because my mom saw it. We have a vision board that we actually cut out magazine papers, and we have the sexy side of the vision goals. So we've got these pictures, and then we've got the financial goals, and then we've got, so I was just like, But it's important. I think you believe a lot in putting things out there.
Absolutely. And writing things down. You know, I often say to women, don't just have it in your head. Actually write it down. You know, one of the books that I love is by Paulo Coelho, The Alchemist.
Oh, yes.
He says, you know,
I struggled to finish that. It's one of the books I struggled to finish. But continue.
It's an amazing book. Try and finish it.
Okay, I'm gonna try it again. Yeah.
But one thing he was saying is that, you know what, the universe also conspires to give you these things. But there is something that is so powerful when you write your goals down. There's something that is so powerful when you actually, I don't know, man, I can't explain it. But once you put your hand on paper, something incredible happens. So you need to look at that, both of you, and say, what is the goal? What is the goal?
What you're saying about the powerful thing about writing it down, we were listening to a sermon last week, and Pastor Stephen Furtick was preaching about it, and he said he's busy writing a book, but he didn't want to call it a book because that would give it an opportunity to fail. So he was just saying, I'm just writing some stuff down. And he said the power is that once you mention it, it's kind of letting it out there and giving it a name. So sometimes we struggle to put our goals out there, write them down, or say what they is, because you feel like, oh, what if I fail? So at least if it's at the back of my mind, even if it doesn't happen, then I know I haven't failed.
Then I won't be disappointed.
Then I won't. Yes, I won't be disappointed. Yeah. But it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't
be. It absolutely shouldn't be. I have written down crazy goals down, right? I have written down like ridiculous things down. And I will let me just go back. Now, when I was in varsity, I was part of the BMF, I was part of ABSIB, I was part of all these associations in varsity, right? And I remember one year I did my vision board. I wrote things down, right? And I said, you know what, I want to go on a place that is amazing. I want to go on holiday. I mean, I'm on a student budget. Yeah. I wanted to fly there, right? Like, nothing in my reality said any of these things are going to happen. I wrote them down, cut out some pictures, sure. Because I was part of ABSIB, also that's another thing that I always want to make people aware of, that have these goals, but have action going
there
on
has
in your
to
life.
Be steps.
Don't just be like cutting out pictures.
No, that's not daydreaming. We're not daydreaming.
Then you just have fun cutting out pictures, you know. Then halfway through the year, I think it was BMF, we got an email from one of the companies that was sponsoring BMF, and they said, we are all going to take you to Cape Town, and it's all expenses paid. And this is the crazy thing. When we got to our hotel, the hotel was exactly what I had cut out in my vision board. So
that for you was kind of the beginning of opening up a whole new world of what is possible.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it doesn't always happen exactly when we want it to, but the whole point is to put it out there, put in the work, and trust.
Put in the work, plan.
Yeah. What's a healthy relation? You mentioned something when you were talking about couples, that check your relationship with money. I don't think a lot of people understand that we have relationships with money. What does a healthy relationship with money look like?
Yeah. And
then, sorry, I know it can be different for anyone, but in general, just to give an idea of what a relationship with money is.
Okay, all right. So that's such a good question. Because actually in my book, I say a lot of people actually don't know they have a relationship with money. Yeah. Whether it's a bad one or a good one, nonetheless,
whether you think it
have
exists or not,
relationship. Exactly, right? Exactly. So for me, I always say, okay, just do a couple of questions, 5 questions, right? Number 1, can I open my bank statement right now and go through it? Am I comfortable? On a scale of 1 to 10, am I comfortable? Right? If my family asked for money right now, am I comfortable to say no based on where I am, or based on just boundaries that, you know what, I've done my best for the month, you have to wait, you know?
That's a touchy one.
That's
a touchy one.
Very touchy one.
Your question's already uncomfortable.
But the thing is, once you answer them and you found out that you're uncomfortable, then you know that it's time to do some work.
Okay. What's the next step? Number 3? I hope you guys are writing these down.
Number 3, what are my goals? Can I right now, if Mpoomy were to ask me, what are my financial goals? Because remember, oftentimes, Mpoomy, we talk about all the other goals, to get the job, to get, the house, the car, you name it. But all of these things require
Money, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what actually is my financial goal?
Sure.
You know, do I have it down on paper? Can I say it at the top of my head? If not, you have to go back to the drawing board. We are dreaming, right? Then is it the fourth or the last one right now? Yeah. Then the other question is, how comfortable am I talking about money around my peers? Right? And I'm not just talking about saying, friend, there's some good hair that you can get at a discount. Not talking about shoes. We are talking about, okay, Mpoomy, are you saving right now for maybe retirement? Or are you saving for your kids? You have 2 kids now. And also having that conversation with people. Actually, so remember we were talking about having baby number 2, I have a son. Oftentimes the question I ask, and I wanted to ask you this, is how often do people ask you, do you have enough money to have another baby?
That's also another tricky question, and because it's when and this is the sad reality of COVID-19 is now, I don't know if it's happening in your area, I've noticed a whole lot of people who are on the side of the road, way more than normal, and majority is women with children on their backs. And now my thing is, okay, perhaps I wanted to give a lady a job to say, come wash my windows. I can't because she's got a baby on her back. Probably unplanned babies, etc. Like babies require a whole lot of things. Things set back. Your job sits down. So you really do have to have a financial plan for kids.
Those are uncomfortable conversations, especially for us Black people. Once you start saying to people, okay, you're talking about me having a second one or third one.
Will you fund it?
Are you going to fund it? And people look at you like, whoa.
You're right, 100%. Because we don't think of we've never, as Black people, we've never really looked at having children as a financial thing. We just pop babies.
It's a blessing.
Yeah, it's just
a blessing. And it is.
It is a blessing, but we don't want to make the blessing suffer now.
There we go.
Because there's no plan.
There we go, right? So that's another conversation. And the last one. I know this one is a bit of a difficult one. Are you...
They're all difficult. None of them are, all of them are uncomfortable.
Not all of them are
Please
difficult.
don't come for us.
And the last one. Are you true to yourself? So all your financial decisions that you've made so far, have they really been a true reflection of what it is you want to achieve? Or you've been going with what everyone says you must go? I'll give you an example. When we had our child, I had a Chevy, a Chevrolet, like a 2007 Chevrolet, right? And I remember some of my friends asking, "Oh, so you're gonna get a bigger car, right?" I was like, I mean, this person who is gonna come out of me. They're not that much bigger than me.
No, and they don't know what car.
They don't know what car they're in.
They don't care.
They don't care, right? And you get people like, how? Kids have all these things. I'm like, no, we actually survived, right? Because I knew my goals were X and Y, and this is what I was working towards. So are you really honest with yourself, with who you are, and what it is you want, right? Some people might want the fancy car. That's perfect, right? Because they're working towards that.
It's in their goals.
It's in their goals,
Yes.
right? Especially, if it is in their goals.
Yes.
But you often find sometimes we go and get the car, get the house, get the babies, because everyone's saying you must have 100 babies. You must, like all of these things. All of these things. And people are going to bed stressed out. People are going to bed nervous. People are literally on the brink because they're just not honest.
You know what scripture has saved me in my financial decision? It's the blessing of the Lord maketh rich and adds no sorrow. So if my car is making me cry at night and my house is giving me, then I can't afford it. I simply can't afford it. And I mean, we still renting, and obviously the question is, and the pressure, we felt the pressure to buy, and we've pressured ourselves to buy a house. And then we realized, but are we ready to buy the house, the kind of house that we actually want to live in? Because we're not going to sell a house in 3 years' time. You can try, but it's a whole lot.
Especially with the way things are right now.
Exactly. And I'm just thinking, in our first year of marriage, I wanted us to buy so quickly? Because I'm just like, my
We're
goals
married
were
now.
at 23, I had to have a house. And it was a two-bedroom tiny flat. And now I've got 2 kids. And I think back and I said, if we had bought that house then, I would be so stressed. So sometimes I think it's just so important to really listen. Is it aligned with what you're planning? You're planning to have kids. Does it make sense to buy a flat to live in unless you're buying it for rental purposes anyway, etc.?
And you know what, Mpoomy, you are spot on. One of the things, and I say this is one of the keys to financial success, is patience. Knowing yourself.
Yes.
Right. So I actually still don't have a car. Today, I don't have a car, right?
What do you mean?
I don't have a car.
What did you come with?
I came with a car, but it's not mine. It's my
Who's
husband's.
your husband's?
Yes.
Oh, so you
Actually,
don't
he's
have a
working
car.
from
And
home.
oh,
Yes,
okay.
right?
So wait, so as a family, you've got 1 car.
He's got a car.
Okay.
The Chevy's still there.
Really?
The Chevy's still there, girl.
Paid off.
Paid
and
off.
it still works in its
It
tiny
works.
form. Yeah.
It is going that thing.
Okay.
It is going that thing. And let me tell you something. So 3 years ago, I said, you know what? I know I just don't want a car for the sake of a car, right? And also, for me, I'm a person, normal Roman, you know, I love doing my numbers. And I was like, it just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. So for me, the goal was, okay, I'm going to buy a car that I love, cash, right?
Sure.
And in February, actually last year, December, I reached my goal to say, okay, I can actually buy a car cash. So around January, February, I was looking for a car. I actually did a podcast on it saying, okay, this is the car I'm going to get.
What's the car? Can you share?
No, I haven't gotten it. Let's not.
Oh, wait. Oh, you didn't share this on your podcast?
No, I did share it.
Did you share the car you were planning on buying?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Right? But the moral of the story is I still did not buy the car.
Why?
The reason why I didn't buy the car, so for me, I was like, you know what? I've saved up so much money and it's going to go towards a car.
That's going to go down by 30,000 in the minute you drive out.
And on top of that, I don't travel that much with my work, right? Literally, I don't travel that much. The only thing that I'll do, I probably go to a client's office, do my training, and come back home. Most of my stuff is actually even online.
Sure.
Right? So I would have parked a car. If you were to look at it in monthly installments, it would have cost me like $7,000 every single month, right? Compound that. I know. It just doesn't make sense. But my story is that because of patience, because I was like, okay, you know what? Because I'm not sure, let me wait it out until in here in my spirit I can feel like, you know what? Actually, I'm just going to get this car. Then lockdown happened. So now
Look at God.
look at God.
Yeah.
I would have parked this car that would have taken literally all of those car savings and it would be parked in my garage right now. So for me, it might not be the same story for you.
Yeah.
It might be a house. It might be that holiday perhaps that you even want to take on debt. Patience also, trust me,
It has to feel right. I think it has to feel right.
Yeah.
What are some, I feel like you're good at these points and things. I'm enjoying your points. What are a few, maybe let's say some 5 points you give to students about finances? And once again, all of the content that I create is obviously based on questions that I get and obviously my data. So a lot of people have asked, okay, how can I make extra money as a student? Or how do I start saving if if I don't have any income? Or how do I start saving if I just make enough to just cover my expenses? What are some pointers you can give to specifically young people?
Yeah. You know what? Actually, even for my book, I know I've had clients who are like, I have these clients right now that I was doing coaching for them. They are 11 and 13 years apart from retirement. I've had some parents who have booked for their kids to come and do coaching for them, and they are still in varsity. So for me, I feel like, you know what? It's a broad spectrum, right? And the language is so easy. But the first thing, and I know it sounds cheesy, right? Know yourself. Know yourself, because
In all aspects of life.
In all aspects of life. But I think we do not talk enough about knowing yourself when it comes to personal finance or money, because it's easy to make decisions based on your friends and what life must look like. Right?
What life must look like.
Look like. And the reality is something different, right? Again, going back to patience is when you are patient enough, because you know yourself, right? Now you know yourself, you know that the car is going to come, you know the house is going to come, you know the type of lifestyle is going to come, but if you practice patience, you know yourself, then it's easy not to fall in debt.
Sure.
Right?
Because you just understand it's not yet time,
There
it will
we
happen,
go.
but it's
It
just
is-
not time.
No. It will happen, right? One of the things that I love and I keep on reminding myself is that God is not sitting there watching you work. God is work while you work. That I know for sure. And I hope and
I think 100% God is a God of principle.
Yes,
A God of
principles.
and the Bible has so many financial. Jesus spoke more about money than anything else.
There we go. And money has principles. It's all about principles. If you follow those principles, there's no way that you can get it wrong, right? So the second thing is, I often get asked about the credit score. And I know this is controversial, but your credit score, to a large extent, does not matter, right? Because your credit score, whether your credit score is good or bad, cannot say you can afford this or that. You always have to do your affordability test first. And what is an affordability test? An affordability test is, okay, I want to buy this house, I want to buy this car, and if it's going to cost me 10,000 rand a month or 5,000 rand a month, for 6 months, you have to live like you own this asset already.
Sure. So you must basically do a test for the 6
Yes,
months.
yes.
Test yourself, put that money away,
Yes.
that 5,000 rand away to see if once this thing is here, will I manage?
Yes. And also remember, then it's not just the 5,000 because of the house.
It has
It's
to
the
be
electricity,
maintained.
it's what 10 rates.
Yeah.
Because now you want nice curtains because now, It
comes with its own things,
comes
yeah.
with its own things. Have all of those extra things and say, okay, maybe it will cost me 6,000. If you are comfortable, then you're ready to buy that asset, right? That's number one. So going back to credit score, your credit score is really saying how it just shows the history of how you've used credit, right? That's it. That's it. It doesn't say you can afford this, you can't say afford. It just says you've been a good borrower, and a payer. That's it, right? It's important if you do want to buy assets, but not so important if you want to get credit card overdraft, all of those things. They are very easily accessible, and unfortunately, and I say this with my head held up high, that sometimes the financial services industry is to blame as well, because it's so easily accessible.
So reckless in the lending.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you need to do your own work, your own inner work before, and say, okay, can I afford this? Actually, why do I want this? It makes your life so much easier. Going back to the example of me and the car, but for me, it's just making choices between your own priorities. That's all money. That's all money is,
actually,
right?
that's it.
Like, what are my priorities? My priority is, I know for sure, I love holidays. Ke rata short left with my family.
Car can wait.
A car can wait.
Yeah.
But I know, well, besides COVID, of course. If it wasn't for COVID.
You'd been wherever.
Exactly. We had a trip to France, and it was fully paid for. We knew exactly how much we were going to spend, but it's just about your priorities. And this is the thing that I always say to people, that just have your priorities right, and it will not seem so impossible.
How many points are you giving me for the young people?
Okay, so we've spoken about,
You said know yourself,
Know yourself.
and then we went in depth about the credit score.
yes.
Yeah.
And have your priorities.
Yes, have your priorities.
Uh-huh. I know this is going to sound old school, but you need to budget. You actually really,
That's
really
That's honestly,
need to budget.
Yeah, and stick to it.
Give yourself room.
Okay.
Give yourself room to make mistakes, because I think oftentimes, when we hear the word budget, you think, oh my goodness, it's so rich and I'll never do it. I've gotten my budget completely wrong. Completely wrong, right? But it's knowing that this is how much is coming in and writing it down. Let's go back to writing it down. Write it down. It just can't be numbers in your head like, okay, no, I know rent, car, blah. You have
write it
to
down.
write it down. Then track your expenses. Track your expenses and say, okay, actually, what I thought I spent, because oftentimes it's completely two different things.
It's
Like one is saying this, the other one is saying
other
this.
side,
Okay.
yeah.
So going back to what I was saying, are you comfortable looking at your bank statement?
statement, yeah.
So you have to go back and look at your bank statement and say, okay, actually, I thought my budget is like this, but this is a true reflection of what my budget really is. So you have to marry the two, and going forward into the next month and say, okay, actually, this was where my priorities are. And also, again, your budget shows you your priorities. You can say my priorities are something else,
but your budget is
but
just saying
your budget
something
is
else.
saying something else,
Yeah.
right? So you need to make sure that you track your expenses, and you can do that easily. There's an app called 22/7. You can download it on your phone. It's easy. It's free.
And it connects to your apps.
It connects to all your investments, all your savings, all your accounts. So it's easy to do. And the last thing, a lot of the times people ask me, so how do I start saving, Mapalo? Or how do I stop this circle of just spending and spending and spending? And I say, pay yourself first. What do I mean by paying yourself first? It means that every single time money comes into your account, okay? So let's say you get paid on the 25th, or let's say you get your allowance on the 25th or the 30th. If you are going to get 2,000, start saving $200. Just $200, okay?
I think to instill the what do we call it? The practice, the habit of saving.
It's all about habits.
Yeah, saving is a lifestyle and a habit. It's not something you do when you start making 100,000 or something.
No.
I started saving when I would get it like a 10 rand or 100 rand. I knew that 10% goes to giving, church, tithes, and 10% goes to saving. So I only own 80%, and that's been my practice throughout life.
And that's the thing, because once you program your mind to say, you know what, let's say, for example, you earn 10,000, but you know that, okay, I live off 8,000. Then you know that, okay, 10% can go towards your tithing or your gifting. Then the other percent goes towards saving.
Yeah, that's a good start.
That's a good start. And believe you me, if you cannot do it with 2,000, you probably won't do it with 10,000. You probably won't do it with 50,000. You probably will never, ever do it with $1 million.
So in essence, if you get 100 rand and you can't save 10 rand, you're living above your means.
Of course. And that's the thing. That's another thing. I call it the lifestyle creep, right? Lifestyle creep is you're a student, you're on a student budget. I remember I was a student once as well, living off noodles and spring rolls at campus. And let's say you get $2,000 or $3,000, whatever their allowance is, right? It's not a lot of money, but you make do with that. Then you start working, and you start getting money. It's like, woo, wow. The first 3 months, people are always shocked and are always amazed, like, oh my gosh, I'm making so much money. Yeah. By the 4th month, they have the credit card, overdraft, personal loan, because they had to furnish their new apartment, all sorts of things, and it's downhill from there. Oftentimes. Sure. But if you can get that principle of paying yourself first and saying, you know what, if I'm making 15,000, I know in your mind, you make a mental note that I live off 13,000. Believe you me, and you save the rest or invest the rest, you will be better off than anything.
What do you think as women we can do better when it comes to our finances? As women as a whole. It's Women's Month, so we need to learn. You know, I didn't want this. I didn't want us to just have another Happy Women's Day and that's it. We need to do better.
Okay, so
tell us.
You want
dish
me
it
to
out. Okay. Upset us.
Be selfish.
I agree.
Selfish.
I agree with you.
Oh, I thought you were gonna be like, no, one woman. You need to be, especially as a woman, you need to be selfish. I'll give you an example.
Sorry, I just want to add this. My husband always says, your dad raised you like a boy. And I said, 100%,
yes!
100% he did.
If we had a glass of water here or tea, I would cheers to
100%. 100%. There's pros and cons, but mostly pros.
Yes, yeah. Mostly pros, right? Okay. Let me tell you this. How I grew up, my parents, my mom is a feminist, my dad is a feminist, and my mom would always say, you must be independent. Whether you get married or not, you must be able to stand on your own. And I will tell you why. Because I remember when my father went to varsity, right? He went to varsity when he was a bit older, and my mom had to take care of the household. My mom had savings that she had put through so many years, when my dad wasn't making income, that came through for the family, right? Sure. So she was selfish. It looked like she was selfish, but it ended up helping the entire
whole family. Yes.
So as a woman, you need to be selfish. And I'll give you another example. So when we finally bought our house and we're furnishing, and I was busy. Mpoomy, I was like, oh my gosh, I want this one. And one day, my husband said, how much are you savings at this point? I was like, huh? What are you talking about? But our house looks nice. Like, I appreciate it. But he's like, have you seen me going completely crazy? I've been saving. He said, my husband was very honest. Like, I've been saving. How much of those goals have you been saving towards? How much of that? How much have you been saving? You know, for yourself, not the goal
family.
that we have,
Yeah.
but for you.
Yes.
And I was like,
Swallows.
yeah. So I think as women, you really need to be selfish, because when it comes, when it matters most, you will be able to take care of everyone. If you don't do that, if you don't take care of yourself, trust me, it's like pouring from an empty cup. You will get frustrated, and when you feel like people should be helping you and maybe they're not there for whatever reason, you feel like, oh my gosh, I've given so much of everything. No,
You just had to, Jay, put yourself
just
first.
push
for
yourself
once,
first.
yeah. And to be honest, I hope this is taken in context. We're not saying like don't help anyone, be this ugly person. Take the selfishness in context of saying, okay, what are my financial goals? Yes, there's family goals, there's marriage financial goals, but what are my goals? Should my husband or partner lose their job?
Still an individual, right?
Yes,
you are
100%.
an individual, and you are there to help one another, help each other grow. But you need to still have that. You know what? I can come forth when this family needs me the most. And I think that's where sometimes women, we want to give so much of everything that we're left with nothing. Still be there for your family. It's a wonderful feeling for sure.
Yeah.
But make sure that
you're covered.
And also, if you do have kids, you don't want your kids to be taking care of you one day. Okay? That's just the reality.
Yeah.
So just try to find a good balance between wanting to give everything, all of those things, but be slightly selfish.
And we could talk for... I mean, we started talking from the minute I got you in the car. We've been blathering. My husband even just said, guys, can we just start? Yeah, can you just start? And because specifically your company is named Women and Finance, what is your superpower as a woman that you want to be remembered for?
You know what? I think I'll give an example, right? So I've been helping this couple. They're a much older couple, right? And literally, the lady just keeps on saying to me, she's like, "Oh, we're starting to finally ask these questions, about money." I mean, they are very close to retirement, but
do you do couple counseling therapy? Financially?
For financial coaching. I actually do, but I have never found younger couples to want to do that. It's always the older couples that are actually just more willing. That's
maybe they've realized, we've messed up throughout.
And one of the things that I think, just looking at all the coaching sessions, people I've spoken to, people who've read my book, and they always said, you know what, you make me feel like I shouldn't be ashamed. I shouldn't be ashamed about my journey about money. And for me, that has been the most completely rewarding thing, but also something that keeps me going. That, you know what, for the person who was 17 years old, who wanted to learn how to do this stuff and wanted to pursue this, for me, it just validates that I'm on the right track. Wow. So, I mean, I've just had such amazing message. People send me their whole life story, literally about their finances, how they grew up. So for me, it's always just humbling, realizing that actually I'm making a difference, not just talking for the sake of it, but literally I can pinpoint, even to some people, obviously, you don't know who you've touched in your life, but by just having my knowledge, having the passion for it, it's not that tangible thing. I want to be.
As you talk, as you're talking, I remember the first time I heard you speak at She Invests. Yeah, She Invests. Jessie, She Invests, and I was there, and I was sitting at the back, and I was sitting alone, and you just spoke, and this is exactly what you're describing is the feeling I got after you spoke. You were speaking about your book, which was not yet out.
Yes.
You're not broke. You're pre-rich.
Yes.
And you made me feel like, wow, actually, I can be something. I think you shared about your story about. I think are you from Polokwane?
No, Lesotho.
Lesotho. Yes, there we go.
And my dad was there.
Your dad was there, and I think you shared a brief story. And I just looked at you and I said, okay, this lady actually makes me feel like, oh, I can do this money thing. I can be in control of my finances. But it wasn't that selfish feeling of, I want money, but it was that freeing feeling of, I can be in control. I too can. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons I invited you here. It's just, I just wanted to share you with other people that feeling you left me with a year ago, I still have it. And I I think whenever I think of you, that's the feeling I get.
Yeah.
I want to just take control and enjoy and let money be freeing for me.
Yes,
Yeah.
no, absolutely. Oh, Mpoomy, that is so wonderful. And to your point, one of the reviews that I got, someone sent me some feedback regarding the book. She was like, you know what? It's a feeling. Like she says she studies theology. She's like, this money thing, I never thought it was for me. I never, for me, it's not about talking down at people. It's not talking, back at you. It's actually Luena, the one who thought
too.
you couldn't.
Yes.
You
You
too.
too.
You too
You too.
deserve financial success. You too deserve to go to bed without worrying about money.
And you too you can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Enjoy it. Have fun with it.
Yeah.
And like there's easy steps that you can take to make sure that you take control of your finances.
Wow, I've enjoyed this so much. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure everybody has enjoyed you. I've enjoyed you. I just want to take you out on a date so we can talk
Talk money.
So thank you guys for joining us today. And this was just day one. I hope you will be joining us for the rest of the weekend. Please do follow Mapalo on social media and do get her book. I think I should do a giveaway of your book.
Yes.
We should
do that.
Nah?
Yeah.
We can-
You give one away. I'll give one away as
Okay,
well.
we're gonna
to your people.
what's the competition element?
I have no idea. This is your channel. You tell them more.
So in order
Come
to
up with
win,
it.
you must follow me and follow Mapalo on Instagram.
Mapalo Maku.
Mapalo Maku. And then on one of your book posts or something, people
Yes.
should tell you why they think they deserve to win. Or rather,
Or even here.
or even here. Oh yeah, actually,
Yeah.
right here. Tell us why
I'm
you
all about
think you
making
deserve.
things easy.
Yeah, why do you think you deserve her book? You're not broke. You're pre-rich.
And it will be signed.
And it will be
Will be
signed, a
signed.
signed
Yeah.
copy.
There we go.
So yeah, and I'm getting my copy, so I'm gonna read it, and I'll probably have a review, and then we can just all enjoy it. And if you want to purchase it, I think it's available at Exclusive Books.
Exclusive books.
Yes.
Yes, for $240.
$240.
Yeah, many other bookstores, but definitely at
Exclusive Books. Take a lot.
Countrywide. And take a lot.
There we
Yes,
go,
yes,
easy
there we go.
online. Go get it now. Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
enjoyed this,
Mpoomy, thank
and
you. I had a blast. Thank you.
awesome. We will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed and you had as much fun as I did. And share some of the things that you learned. Use the hashtag Wisdom and Wellness 2020. Share in the comment section, share on the Instagram, share on Twitter. Let's just have a great weekend of sharing information, making sure that we all grasp that wisdom and wellness. I'm so excited that you joined me, and I love you guys so much. I will see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. sharp. Don't be late. Don't forget to subscribe and be part of Notification Gang. Have a beautiful night.